Hey guys, how's it going? Thought I'd do a video today on the Chiappa PAK-9, and this is a 9mm AK style pistol. Now, I know I've talked about this several times in my live streams, but I thought maybe I'd do a standalone video on it because it's a pretty neat gun, and some of you have had questions on it after the fact with the live stream. So, this is a Romanian-made 9mm pistol. I've done some upgrades, which I'll explain in a minute. Now, this gun is known as the PAK-9, but labeled on the side of the receiver, it's the AK-9, chambered in 9mm Luger, just regular old 9mm. And it has the Charles Daly import mark, so it's imported by Charles Daly Defense in conjunction with Chiappa USA out of Dayton, Ohio, but it's made in Romania. Nova Module. So this gun's kind of complicated in a way. Made in Romania by Nova Module. For some reason it has Charles Daly's name on it, and also Chiappa. I would note, for customer service and things like that, Chiappa is the stateside company you would get a hold of for any kind of service or warranty claims. So again, chambered in 9mm. It has a 6.3 inch barrel. Standard front AK style sight. There's going to be both elevation and windage adjustable. You would adjust it in the same manner with the press styles tool that you would just a regular old AK. So that's pretty standard there. You can see in the rear there's just a small little slotted sight that's connected to a Picatinny rail that rides across the whole top of the dust cover. There are also rails on both sides on the front end, and also a Picatinny rail at the 6 o'clock position with an included hand stop. So all of these rails, if you will, come with the pistol. It kind of looks like it has a gas tube up here, but I'll show you in a second here. This is not actually a gas tube, it's just a little area where part of the bolt rides. So what makes this a little different than a regular AK is this is a recoil operated firearm, otherwise known as direct blowback, and it literally just uses the blowback of the gases coming from the chamber, imparts a force on this whole bolt assembly here, and cycles the action. So it kind of looks like an AK, and it is. Some of the manual of arms are the same, but some of them are a little bit different. So you'll notice on the side here, your selector, just like a standard AK, up is safe, down is fire. Of course, those are the only two options we have here, unfortunately. But the magazine release, and I'm going to get to that later on when I do a disassembly, we're not going to normally use that when we do mag changes. So when this pistol comes from Chiappa, it comes with two different styles of magazine wells, if you will. Right now, I'm using the Glock magazine well adapter. So this is going to take standard Glock 9mm magazines. So you could use your Glock 19 mags, your Glock 17, your Glock 18, any 9mm Glock. So right here, I just have a standard 9mm OEM Glock mag. And I would note that the mag well is pretty shallow, so you're not going to run into, like with some guns, where if you try to use one of the subcompact mags, there's no room to get it in there. This will be fine. So really, any Glock 9mm mag you have, it'll take. So that's pretty awesome. Most people have quite a few Glock mags, right? The other thing that's kind of neat about it is it also comes with a mag well insert for the Beretta 92 series mags. So you can have your choice. Beretta, Glock, both, either or, which is pretty cool actually. Now when you get the gun brand new, it's going to come with this Beretta adapter, two Beretta 92 mags. Now they're not genuine Beretta made mags, they're like a off brand that I assume is made in Romania just for these guns, but they're Beretta 92 pattern anyhow. And then it's going to come with the Glock magwell adapter, but it does not come with any Glock mags, so that's kind of on you if you already have those or not. So it does come ready to fire right out of the box. You're just going to use the Beretta mags. Now, I've done a couple upgrades to this gun. What I've done is when this starts off, it's just a pistol. So just imagine it ending right about here, okay? And in the rear of the receiver, there's a tapped, threaded hole for a sling swivel, okay? Now, you can take the sling swivel off, get an adapter, which is what I've done. Now, there's a couple places that sell adapters for these. You can get the adapters at US Machine Gun or Stormworks. I have a setup here from Stormworks. So there's a backplate adapter right here that utilizes the hole that already exists. They give you basically a little backing plate that you put inside the receiver that's threaded, a fairly large machine screw, and then that gives you the plate. Now that we have the plate, we can add on whatever other type of adapter we want. You could just put simply the pig nose adapter, as it's called, which is just the round threaded portion with the female threads on it, to accept an M4 style brace and buffer tube. Or in my case, I bought the Stormworks folding assembly. So right now I have basically a brace that I can adjust two different ways. I can either, you know, fold it out to deploy it, or I can tuck it in to make this gun very compact. Now, with the brace fully extended, or fully deployed I should say, with it out just a couple notches, because this is one of the Shockwave blades with the cat can, and these are adjustable with a little set screw. Right now, the way I have this set up, it's about exactly 24 inches, so still pretty small. But when I fold it in half, it ends up becoming only about 15 inches. So really gets this thing down in size. And this could be for storage if you want to put it in a backpack, you know, use this as a truck gun, whatever. And I would note, there's no reason you can't fire it like this either. So in a pinch, if you had it stowed away, wanted to pull it out, deploy the gun, this actually isn't very uncomfortable, believe it or not. Just to kind of grab it by the back of the blade, get your hand on the little forearm here, and you could definitely go to work with it just like this. Now obviously, the better way to shoot this gun is, you know, with the extra point of contact. So now we can get 3 points of contact by bracing the gun, and it makes for a pretty stable, accurate platform. So yeah, basically it comes like this. From here forward, I added all these goodies on. You could add an SBA3, any brace of your choice, obviously, not a problem. I just kind of chose the Shockwave because it's pretty lightweight, pretty small, you know, pretty minimalistic. And with the recoil of the 9mm, it's pretty good. This gun has very little recoil, so take another look at that. You can see how this adapter's on here. I just opted to put a little plate on here that has the sling attachment points. You could use that or just a regular old plate. It's up to you. Alright, we're going to go take this out on the range. In case you guys are tired of watching me shoot, don't worry about it. We're going to have the camera girl shooting for you. So let's watch some shots with this and see what we think.
I did, check. Where's your MP5 here? Is it? Yeah, brand. What brand? That's right. I'm guessing. They bought it for me. Somebody at work. I laid up for a while, and they want to buy it, so they want me that. I'm gonna SDR it, chop it, that fake thing's just a barrel to height that 16. Is it feed? I've heard mixed reviews. Yeah, no, it's fine as long as you don't put you can't put tried. Power folks don't like them. The funny thing is, actually at work, and so I mean, really no. That one's not even rubber no more.
Alright, no problems. You know what? Every time I fired this gun, it's been great. This has been a pretty reliable little platform. As you can see in the shooting, very little recoil, completely controllable, easy for almost anybody to handle, right? So let's take a look at this guy real quick and do a quick field strip. So, just like a standard AK, we're going to push the button, which is the recoil spring assembly. I'm going to push that, and then the dust cover is just going to pop up. Now, this is more of a crink-off style, if you will, where it stays at a hinged point on the front, which is kind of cool. Kind of annoying, too, at the same time. Sometimes it comes down and smashes my hands when I'm taking it apart. I'm sure we'll see that in a minute here. That usually happens to me at least once or twice. Alright, so we have our recoil spring assembly. Looks a lot like a standard AK, right? Just a little bit shorter. Now, there's a spacer here. And I'm going to show you what actually this does in a second. But for now, let's just say this. The whole intention of this is not really a buffer. It's more of a spacer. And what it does, if you watch, is it keeps it from going too far back. And we will get to that in 1 second. I will show you exactly why the spacer is needed. Now, this is a polymer spacer. Seems to hold up just fine. I was kind of concerned with this initially, but so far so good. And again, this is just to limit the rearward travel of the bolt assembly. Alright, so here's our bolt. Now, normally on an AK, this would be our bolt carrier with our bolt riding inside the carrier with the gas piston. In this case, all of this is simply the bolt. You will see the area here where it's cut out with the extractor. This is all an integral part of this actual bolt assembly. The charging handle, just like a typical AK, built into it, right? And this spot here, it's not a gas piston because there's no gas port in the barrel or gas block. All this is basically just extra weight to add more mass to the bolt, right? It also kind of serves as a little bit of a guide to keep it on the rails, which is basically, you know, one of the secondary functions of a gas piston on a regular AK, right? So this is kind of sort of a guide, but really it's just to add mass. Because this being a direct blowback, we need quite a bit of weight so that the weight can basically hold the gun and battery long enough for the projectile to leave the chamber before it starts to come back. So we're using mainly the weight as well as some of the spring tension right here to basically hold this locked into battery long enough for the pressure to safely release enough to where we can now open up, eject the spent case, cycle the action, and load the next round. So this is a pretty heavy bolt. It's a very substantial piece of metal, okay? Now, let's take a quick peek inside the gun. From the rear here, you're going to see just kind of a standard pistol rear trunnion with a little dovetail to accept your recoil spring assembly. Our selector basically just operates the same as any other AK. The little bar moves up and down. It features a single hook trigger. So I'm going to go ahead and release the trigger here. It has a regular AK style disconnector, an AK style spring. I would note though that this hammer is somewhat modified, and I'm not going to ammo over, that's okay. This hammer is somewhat modified and they've clipped off this side of the hammer. So I assume you could use a regular AK trigger group in here, but with some notable modifications. Now, with a regular AK, our ejector is on one of the rails. Here, we just simply have an ejector that is screwed in with two little screws. And you can see our little ejector right there. Much closer to the chamber, obviously, than a regular, 7.62 by 39, because we're dealing with such a short case, the 9 by 19. So we can see this still has a front trunnion that is riveted into the receiver. Right now it's covered by this front handguard, but I'm going to take that off in a minute too. We'll be able to see that. You can see this has the standard X and Y dimples for our trigger pins, trigger and hammer pin, as well as the Y, which would be where the third pin would go that we're not going to be able to utilize here, unfortunately, in the United States. Unless you're a, special occupational taxpayer and can build machine guns. But in the case here, we don't have that. So this is just here for decoration. You can see that there is a slight dimpling in the receiver where the mags go. This is just to help reinforce this area. Some people say it stabilizes it. I think I've concluded it kind of stabilizes the mags and kind of just offers some reinforcement here. Where we have a 1mm receiver, certain areas of the AK tend to need beefed up just a little bit, and the mag well is one of the main areas, right? So, why is this spacer in here? Well, two reasons. First of all, it's going to keep the bolt from coming back too far and riding out of the rails, because this is no different than any other AK. I'll show you this real quick. There's a little spot where the cutout becomes a little larger in the rear, right? See where it steps down right where my finger is? So we have to bring the bolt all the way back to there before we can lift it up and out, which is kind of standard for any AK, right? Well, that's only one of the reasons. The other reason is this, and the best way to show this to you, if I can do this on camera, without this dust cover chopping off my fingers, I'm going to show you what happens. And hopefully this helps somebody who's trying to put this together for the first time. So we're going to line up the bolt here to the wide portion of the receiver, okay? Just like any other AK. This is like really easy to do in real life, but since I'm on camera, any of you that make videos, you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so what can happen is when you're starting to push this in, you'll notice a lot of times it stops. Like right now, it's just not wanting to go any further. It's just stopping on me, okay? The reason why is the bottom of this bolt is actually rubbing and making contact with the very back part of the hammer. So what I'm going to do is just put the bolt in the gun, try to inch it forward a little bit, and I can either kind of jiggle it or just put my finger in here and slightly press down on the hammer just a little bit. Again, easy to do when you're not filming, guys. Trust me. Let me bring it down here so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. All I did is just slightly push down on the hammer, guys. Just a little bit. Okay? To allow the bolt to go over it. And that's one of the main reasons, as far as I can tell, that we have this spacer in here. It's to limit the rearward travel. All right, I'm going to put the recoil assembly back in, just like any other standard AK. It's going to limit the rearward travel where it can't go back far enough to where it's kind of caught behind the back of the hammer. It's a little bit goofy to think about, but it actually works just fine in real life. And it doesn't seem like there's enough force coming back. Again, with it being kind of delayed with this weight of this massive bolt, and then the spring providing additional tension, it doesn't seem like it's putting much force or wear and tear on this little adapter. So we'll keep an eye on that. I know Misha did a video on Misha Co channel, and his first initial overview, they were kind of wondering about this too. But since then, Jay and him have put a lot of rounds through theirs, and they've not had any problems with this plastic piece. As of now, neither have I. So even though it looks a little goofy, it seems that that little, insert's good to go. All right. Kind of goes together just like any other AK, right? Now look, I told you before, a lot of the manual to arms are the same, right? But when it comes to releasing a mag, you don't want to do this, and I'm going to show you why. So when we put our mag in, and I will note with these, you want to give them an extra firm little tap. If you just kind of sort of put it in there, they tend to fall right out. Nothing wrong with the lockup, just give it that little extra tap. Now the proper way to release these magazines, again, a lot easier when you're not on camera, is there's a little push button here. Similar to how you'd eject your mags on a Glock pistol. So we are simply going to push this little button in, and the mag comes out. It takes a second to get used to that. Being an AK guy, I always want to grab here and grab onto the mag. But here's what happens. the regular mag release, which is very similar to an AK mag release right here, is actually holding in this whole magwell adapter system and front forearm. So what I'm going to do is pretend I'm releasing a mag like on an AK, push forward, right? Push forward on this, see? And this is going to pivot down. So this is pivoted in the down position. Now I'm just simply going to wiggle it off the front of the firearm. We can see here the rivets I was telling you about earlier that you can't see with the handguard on. We can see that this barrel is pinned in place. There's the pin there. And there's how the front trunnion interfaces with the receiver. Okay. Now, right now, I have the Glock magwell adapter in here. If I want to change it over to the Beretta, I just simply push up on it. Just give it a little tap. This is going to come out. Set the Glock aside, right? Come in from the top. Push down. Now I'm set up to take Beretta 92 mags. Alright. To get this back on, we're just going to simply slide it over the receiver, getting it past the rivets, come up on an angle, and push it up in place. Hopefully the camera caught that. Again, it's like 10 times harder to do anything on camera than it is, you know, when you're just doing it in real life. But now we're set up for Beretta mags. Everything's good to go. And I will show you how this box comes. And we'll try one of the Beretta mags. So when you buy the pistol, Charles Daily Defense, PAK-9. Again, that's where there's the PAK-9. And when you go to look this up online to buy it, you're going to probably want to refer to it as the PAK-9, because that's kind of how everyone lists it. Even though I would note on the actual firearm, so from like a legal standpoint, like when your FFL has to put it on the 4473, or if you're in a state where you have to register your pistols, hey, I'm not a lawyer, do what you want, but I believe by federal regulation, this is legally just simply called an AK-9, because the model number of the gun must be engraved into the gun, and we don't see PAK-9 anywhere on here, just AK-9. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So like I said, you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it the PAK-9, but properly the AK-9. Now in the box you get a couple things. An instruction manual, a sling, a really cheap sling I would note, but hey, they give it to you for free, so whatever. That's where the sling swivel comes into play, right? So if you're not going to put a brace on yours, you might want the sling, so you can obviously sling it or use the sling for support. So, and 2 of the Beretta mags. There's one of them with the red followers. So these are Beretta mags that at first glance look like a CZ mag. You CZ guys know what I mean by the red followers. Chamber flag and a quite substantial gun lock. Like, these are actually one of the expensive ones. Alright, so I've removed the Glock magwell adapter, and now we've got the Beretta. So now we're set up to run the Beretta 92 mags. There you go. Locked in just fine. I think I'll just leave this adapter in here and test this gun out with the Beretta mags, because to be honest, I've only fired this with the Glock mags, just because there's so many Glock mags, and I've got the long ones, the 33 rounders, the 31s, but why not? I will do some testing and let you guys know if I have any issues with the Beretta mags. So this will be my first time. You can see these mags are brand new. I kind of just went with the Glock adapter right off the bat. Now, I would note, if you guys are buying one of these today from like Atlantic Firearms, it's going to be a little different package than what I bought. Now, when I bought mine, it was like $389, which is awesome. Now they're about $489 or $500, but they're giving you a little bit more. If you look at the muzzle of this gun, it is not threaded. This is something I plan on doing in the near future, but it comes with a non-threaded muzzle. And as I told you before, the rear trunnion is just a back plate with a sling swivel. So if you buy one of these today, yeah, they've gone up $100, but now The muzzle comes threaded, 1/2x28, which is a big plus. And it comes with an adapter already fixed to the back to take an AR buffer tube so you could run your different types of braces. So you're already getting a couple things that I would have to either pay for or thread and buy and install the adapter. Now look, the adapter that comes with the new kit appears to just be for a fixed, tight buffer tube that you could put an adjustable SB83 or one of these CAK blades, shockwave blades. But if you're going to want the side folding, you're still going to have to go out and buy one of those because that does not come with the current deal for 500 bucks. And for those of you that aren't familiar with this side folding adapter, I'll show you this real quick before we're done. This is a pretty nice deal. You can see when it's deployed, it's completely locked in place. So there's a positive catch here. It's not going to, go back and forth. If you want to, fold this, I just put my thumb here and my fingers up here and I push down. And when you push down, it's going to go down on a little keyway here. You'll see it. You're just pushing down and now it's able to free float until you close it. And then the cool thing is it locks in again. So some of these folding stock, or in this case brace adapters, just kind of flop around and just use friction. This is a completely positive locking system that is not going to come undone unless you purposely do it. There's no button to push. What I'm doing is I'm just simply pushing on the whole rear of the assembly here, down enough, okay, to get it to where it pops out of the channel, and now I'm able to fold. So this is a really nice adapter. I'm personally using the Stormworks. I've heard the US machine gun offering is also really nice. So yeah, this is a great little gun, guys. Super, super fun, cheap ammo. I know AR-9s are the craze, but I think an AK-9 is pretty cool too. You can run around with this as just a pistol. You can use varying types of braces to use this as a little, PDW rig. Plenty of spots to mount your flashlights, your optics, anything like that you would want. So the Romanian made Chiappa PAK-9, I think it's pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this little gun, and if you have any more questions I can try to answer you or even do a follow-up video if necessary. But I've talked about this gun quite a bit and I thought it was finally time to do just a regular review on it so you guys could take a look at it and see what you think. Even at current prices of about 500 bucks, as of today, still not a bad deal really. You're getting a reliable platform made in Romania where they've been making AKs for over 60 years. The ability to shoot either the Beretta or the Glock mags, which are probably two of the most common 9mm mags in this country. So yeah, I kind of like it quite a bit. This is actually up there as one of my favorite little, range toys, and I've even considered carrying this around as a truck gun, to be honest too, just because there's times where something like this is a little bit nicer with the accessories you can mount onto it. Again, the extra points of contact with the brace. And it does have a 6.3-inch barrel, which is going to really help the ballistics of a 9mm over a lot of your other smaller carry guns. So, yeah, in conclusion, I like it quite a bit. Let me know if you guys have these and you like them and what you think. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and have a good one.
I'm going to get down there and see if I get anything.
No, I'm good right here. I got it.